Now this generation of the Range Rover has grown in terms of its size, price and even opulence, which means that there's now more space than ever for the more approachable Range Rover Sport to carve out its own direction, so to speak. And that is exactly what seems to have happened with this new third generation model. The new Range Rover Sport can be had in 4 diesel variants, starting at Rs 1.64 crore and going up to Rs 1.84 crore. There is a single petrol variant as seen here, priced at Rs 1.68 crore. So that taut, minimalistic design theme of the new Range Rover is a touch more expressive here with the Sport. And you see that in the way this clamshell bonnet, the way it folds into this quite slim grille and these even slimmer headlamps. And then when you look below, you see these wide panels of body colored material, which is in fact specific to the India version car, which gets the dynamic package. So you have those, and then you have these copper highlights. They're quite subtly done over here on the bumper and as well as on the bonnet and on the fenders. So that simple but quite focused stance of the Range Rover Sport really comes out when you look at it in profile. It's grown a bit longer. It's now based on the same MLA Flex architecture as the regular Range Rover, so it's a bit longer. But more striking is the way this sort of roof line and this window line, they sort of slowly merge and it looks really sporty. And then there are the small details. For example, there's no beading here between the window and the body, so it looks really clean. And the way this body sort of shapes out like this, it gives it a really wide, tough stance. And then again, you have these flush door handles. The Vela started it. It's become like a regular Range Rover fixture. This one's here too. And specific to this version, it's an option. You get soft closed doors. And then when you come lower down, you realize that even though it's quite a sporty SUV, it's still a Range Rover. So even though you have tire sizes going up to 23 inches, they're still really quite thick rubber. This is a 22-inch tire, but it's got this quite thick rubber to it. It's an all-season tire. And then when you have the air suspension, standard on the Indian cars, they give you up to 281 mm of ground clearance. Now this minimalistic design theme of the new Range Rover Sport really comes into its own from this angle, where you see that there's really not a crease or even a sharp angle to be seen everywhere. It's just really great sculpturing, so it gives it that really taut, condensed look. And then you have these really intricate, slim LED lighting. And then the boot lid, it opens like this. But of course you have these really sharp, sporty elements which are part of, again, the dynamic package. So in the petrol P400, you get these really large, wide, actual exhaust tips and this quite sporty looking diffuser kind of thing here. Now with the added length, the boot has actually grown in size by 55 liters. It's now a sizable 850 liters and you get quite a few EV usable functions with them. So of course you have this cover, but then with the air suspension, not only can you raise or lower the sill height, you can also just tumble the seats in a powered way, which is apparently a first for a Range Rover Sport. Now the Range Rover Sport can be had with 2 3-liter engine options. Again, they're shared with the regular Range Rover. And the diesel, it's the D350, which makes 350 PS and 700 Newton meters. And the petrol, which is this car here, it's the P400, so 400 PS and 550 Newton meters. Of course, you have air suspension and adaptive dampers as standard. Optionally, you can also get a 48-volt anti-roll system, rear wheel steer, and a few more electronic aids to just make it handle better. Now there's always been this gap between how the Range Rover Sport has felt compared to the regular full-size Range Rover, but now with this new generation with so much shared between the two SUVs, that gap has shortened quite a bit, although the full-size Range Rover is still the last word in opulence. That said, the Range Rover Sport is now a much more nicer feeling space to spend time in, and that you see that immediately when you notice the materials that have been used. So for example, there's leather everywhere, soft materials, and then this really nice touch. This is this acoustic fabric which hides the speakers for the Meridian audio. It's just a really small touch but works really well. And then to take that whole minimalistic theme forward, this is a bit controversial, but Range Rover has done away with buttons to sort of open and close these air vents. You can still adjust them sideways like this or up and down, but to open and shut them you have to go into the touchscreen menu to do it, and the glove box opens with these buttons. They're a nice touch, but we'll see how they work when you actually live with this car. Now as for the seating position, yes, it's quite different from the full-size Range Rover. You sit a bit lower, much more sportier, which goes very well with the theme of this car. Although you still have that really low sill Range Rover signature and a good view out the front. Again, another classic Range Rover trait. And then you come to these seats. They're really comfortable. They're heated, cooled, massaged. You get 22-way adjustment. So pretty much every body type will be comfortable here, and you get these really nice sort of headrests, which maybe on a long journey will be really quite helpful. Now as for the tech that you get in the Range Rover Sport, again it's the latest that Land Rover has to offer. So you get this new instrument cluster, which is a massive improvement over the ones we've seen earlier. It's again shared with the full-size Range Rover. It's 13.7 inches in size. It's got quite clear menus, very easy to navigate, unlike the earlier one. You get a fairly useful head-up display, and then you get this new Pivi Pro touchscreen. It's a massive improvement over what we've seen before, again shared with cars like the F-Pace and the new Range Rover. So it's quite easy to use, and it's got a nice mix of hard buttons and touch responsive. It's got haptic feedback, so it's really quite easy to use and get used to. And of course, Range Rover started this, so you have this camera feed for the rear view, very useful whether you're driving regularly or going off-road. And then these buttons for the climate. They control the climate, they control the fan speed, they control the heated and cooled seats. So again, quite useful. This volume control, good storage spaces here. Now this car has a refrigerated compartment. It's an optional extra, but of course you can just get a regular compartment here as well. And then for the off-road modes, this dial comes up. So yeah, in terms of the way you interact with this car, it's really quite thoughtful with good hard buttons and nice screens to help you along with it. Although if we had to really nitpick, then this panel of gloss black that you see here, they could have had separate buttons for each of the controls. They're a bit weird to use considering they're all on the same sort of plane. And yeah, they're also a really smudge magnet, so every time you touch them, they really get smudgy quite easily. Other notable features are wireless charging, a full leather interior, and adaptive cruise control with steering assist. Optionally, you can get double glazed glass, cabin air purifier, a smoker's pack, among other equipment that you've seen here. The Terrain Response 2 off-road program with its various modes and the all-terrain progress control system is available as standard. Now this generation of the Range Rover Sport has grown inside as well. Now it shares the same wheelbase as the Range Rover, the regular one, which means that the wheelbase has increased by about 74 mm, and that has opened up quite a bit of legroom, as you can see. A great amount of space for your feet as well. And of course, the seat isn't as opulent as in the regular Range Rover, of course, but compared to the previous gen model, things have grown quite a bit from there. So you have a lot of really nice underside support. The seat cushioning is really nice. It's got these really nice contours, and you get a reclining function, which in its lowest position will go down to 37 degrees, which is quite a bit. And then yeah, you don't have a powered center console, but you have a pretty useful one in any case, with these cup holders and there's a large space here. And then in certain models, when you option that, you get 4-zone climate control. It's been optioned in this particular car. You get USB type ports here, you get a charger here, and a full Euro spec 3-pin plug socket. Of course, you can use it with an adapter. And then you have this really large panoramic sunroof, sunshades, which are again optional. And just like the large full-size Range Rover, you get air vents here too, aside from the ones in the middle and near your feet. And of course with the really useful hook here as well. So what do you think about the Range Rover Sport? Would you pick it, say, over a rival from Porsche or maybe an AMG? Let us know in the comments.